Let's begin the show. As I said, welcome to Coach WONDERGEDDON. I am your coach, WONDERGEDDON. Fantasy sports. We're going to talk fantasy sports. We're going to talk real life sports because I want to. Um, I'll be honest with you guys. I usually come up with something clever for the intro, but I didn't this time. So we're just going to start my intro. All right, let's begin the show. Thanks for watching the show. Coach WONDERGEDDON. As I said, I'm your coach, WONDERGEDDON. We are talking fantasy sports today. We are talking real sports today. We are going to talk about basketball. We are going to have a question of the day. The question is, how do you feel about sports and how they are being played during the post-COVID or the COVID era of sports? How do you feel about it? Do you like how the Raptors, for example, have created a bubble and they've put their teams in that bubble? Do you like that format or do you not like that format? Do you like how baseball's doing it? Baseball, they're catching people with COVID pretty quick, but they are still getting a lot of players with COVID. How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about sports being played during COVID? Should it all be suspended? A lot of players are opting out. A lot of players are still playing, but there are quite a few people opting out. I'm also going to talk a little bit of fantasy baseball. My season continues. We're going to talk about three players that you wish you had, three pitchers that you wish you had. Sorry. We're going to talk about that too. Let's talk basketball first. Basketball is back. Fantasy sports, not so much when it comes to basketball, but basketball is back. They're playing a lot of games. They're playing games all day. You could catch it on NBA.com. It looks like a video game in real life. A lot of people are locked into a bubble. Our teams are represented in the bubble. Playoff teams, they're doing seedings right now. The Raptors are down there with a giant bus that says Black Lives Matter. All respect to that. I keep saying this. I seem like a homer. I know I sound like a homer, but we're in the golden age of Canadian slash basketball right now, and I honestly think that Toronto's going to walk away with another championship. I know. I sound like a homer. I know it's because if I wasn't in Toronto, I probably wouldn't feel this way about Toronto. But I don't care. I think we're going to win. I think we have probably the best defense in the league. Where we slept on for some reason in the Eastern Conference. I think that because of that, and plus being champions in a team, in a league, in a format that's completely different, and we're the only champions that are really inside this bubble other than LeBron James. I don't think a lot of people are taking in, for example, in this bubble format, in this fantasy sports basketball format. I don't think people understand, like, the only other champions other than LeBron that's in the league are Golden State Warriors, and they're not in the bubble, which means that it's just LeBron and the Toronto Raptors that are actual champions in this league. Even Kawhi playing for the Clippers, yeah, he won a championship last year, and he's still a championship. He's still a champion. I'm gonna add him into that conversation with LeBron. I'm sure there's a couple more I'm overlooking, but at the end of the day, as far as championship team, there's only one championship team that's in this bubble, and I think the Toronto Raptors have a really good chance of being the best team in the league again this season. I really think that the Raptors are going to win the championship. Who they're going to play, I mean, if I break down each team, I like Boston. I like Milwaukee. No offense to the Magic, but I'm not really feeling. I don't think the Magic are going to make much noise. Eastern Conference, I think, is three teams. I think it's going to be the Raptors. I think it's going to be Milwaukee, and I think it's going to be Boston. No offense to the other teams. I just don't think that. I think it's a three-headed race, and I think Toronto's. I don't want to say handily beats them, but I think Toronto definitely in 7 games has a high percentage of going back to the finals. Who they're going to play in the finals is a little bit different. In the beginning of the season, if you asked me, I would have probably told you the Lakers. Mid-season, a couple things change around. I'm looking at Houston. Houston's team is crazy enough that they might actually be the team to beat in the West. Just no center, just bombing threes, and you have Harden, who's unstoppable on offense, and just hope that you outscore everybody by the end of the game. I did think that. Now that we're getting towards the playoff time and we're looking at some of the teams, I think it's hard to ignore that the LA Clippers might be the best team in the Western Conference. I like other teams, but as far as the Western Conference, I think it might belong to the Clippers going into the playoffs. I think it's going to be the Raptors versus the Clippers in the playoffs. I don't have a lot of fantasy stuff that I can tell you because they're not running on any type of fantasy format. I'm sure there was probably one that I probably overlooked and ignored that I could have played, but I decided not to even worry about it. And I just decided to just watch basketball as a Raptors fan and enjoy it. A nice stress-free few weeks that I can watch ball where I'm not looking at my Yahoo or my ESPN or whichever other one of the fantasy apps that want to show me some love. I mean, I don't have to worry about specific player stats. I can enjoy the Raptors winning championship this year. Last year, I enjoyed it. I liked it, but I'll be honest with you. I was mad that Pau Gasol, when he was on the Grizzlies, was giving me 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists a game. And when he came to Toronto, it didn't quite work out. That hurt my fantasy league team a little bit. But you know what? The city of Toronto, where I reside, won a championship, and to me, that trumps all. I will pay my fee for my fantasy league to watch the Raptors win a championship, and that's what I did last year. And this year, I don't even have to do that, and I might even watch the Raptors win a championship again. So I feel like a winner. And I feel like a winner. We are going to I'm going to conclude basketball for now. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more depth on another episode. We are going to talk about the topic of the day, the question of the day. How do you feel about sports being played during COVID? I've talked to a lot of people about this offline. Online, I don't know how much conversation we're going to have about it, but that is going to be my question. I have somebody on my Instagram, though, or on my WhatsApp that has a comment. The comment is that they do not like the way that that the league is taking advantage of players and playing during a COVID time. I understand where you're coming from with that. I don't know if I agree so much. I think I'll give you my opinion, and then we'll see if it looks different. If you could come into the chat room, that would be great. If not, then I understand. A lot of people are afraid to talk sports online. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think some sports have a pretty good handle on what they're doing as far as dealing with COVID. I think, to be honest, as much as I respect UFC for how they're handling COVID, they're doing an amazing job. Fight Island is amazing, where people are actually able to beat from country to country and still be able to fight. UFC Fight Island is awesome. That would probably, to me, be the best format that they're using as far as keeping COVID under control in their sports. A lot of respect as well to the NBA. I think they're doing an amazing job keeping everyone inside the bubble and trying to maintain the bubble. I hope that the bubble does work. That being said, there's some sports that in theory aren't doing a good job. Um, Baseball happens to be one of them. COVID is tearing through baseball. Uh, Baseball, a lot of games have been postponed because of COVID. Among them, teams like the New York Yankees. Miami has gotten decimated by COVID. I think they had 11 players missing. But you know what? They were found out, and people found it early enough, and hopefully, players are able to take it a little bit more serious and get it taken care of. COVID. I mean, before August, there was 40 plus players in baseball, which means that they were looking for COVID and found it, which is a good thing. A few of those players, I'd say about 10 to 15 so far, as far as I know, have come back. A bunch of Marlins have gone down. A lot of teams have lost games. Milwaukee, I believe, lost games. I know the New York Yankees, Cardinals have gotten a few games postponed. Cincinnati, among others, I believe Philly as well have lost a couple games due to COVID, where they're going to be playing double headers and such, and playing a lot of their ball in double headers to catch up to a lot of these games. I mean, the good thing about it is that they're being found. Out. Other teams, I don't know how the NFL is going to handle it. Hockey has 2 hub cities in Canada. We've done a pretty good job with COVID, keeping it under control. America's kind of made a mess of it. No offense to any Americans that are watching. But we've kept it under control. I think hockey's doing a good job. I think they're going to be able to go to kind of keep everyone accountable for their COVID numbers. They have hub cities in Edmonton and Toronto, and that's where they're going to be playing their playoffs through, which is pretty good. I think basketball might be doing it the best, and UFC might be being second. They're close first and second as far as how they're handling COVID, and I think baseball is going to get a little bit better at it as well. As I said, they've already lost a few games to COVID, and I hope that they figure it out. Bright Phantom, the topic tonight, the question that I'm answering right now is, how do you feel about sports being played during COVID? That's the question. If you have anything to say, feel free to throw it in. I am going to go to another topic in the meantime. If you have a topic, feel free to put it down. I'd love to look at it. In the meantime, I'm going to switch topics, because this one you guys don't really need to interact with. This is about fantasy baseball. I am going to do a quick thing, a quick little my opinion thing. We're going to talk about 3 pitchers that you wish you had this 2020 shortened baseball season. We're going to do this, though, after this quick break, all right? So, we are back from commercial. The topic tonight is, how do you feel about sports being played during COVID? While I'm waiting for some more answers, I did talk on it a little bit. If anyone else has anything else to say, feel free to join the stream chat, the Twitch chat. If you're too scared to do that, feel free to hit me on my WhatsApp. I am looking at my WhatsApp during this time as well. So if you have anything to say, feel free to hit me up on that. We're going to talk fantasy baseball, though. Season continues. It is the only fantasy game going on right now until football starts. I am in a league, the Bodman Baseball League. I hailed these guys up all the time. I won the championship once. Last year I came in a disappointing, I believe, sixth place, maybe even lower than that. My team broke down at the end of the season, and I couldn't be in my perch in first place in the championship spot. I'm hoping to make that up this season. So, fantasy baseball, we decided to do a quick little topic, little blurb here, and I'm gonna call this blurb 3 pitchers you wish you had 2020 season. 3 players. We are looking at a short season, guys. We're looking at seven weeks of fantasy playoffs. We're looking at top 4. You want to get in the top 4 to win some money. If we get all the way through it, then what's usually on the average team, I believe we usually have 6 people in the playoffs. My particular league usually has 6 players in the playoffs, 2 bye leagues and 4 players. This year we're just doing the top 4 teams. So you have to get out there. You have to be consistent. You have to take advantage of the nicks and crannies that come with the COVID and the COVID scares. For example, you're looking at some teams where you have a lot of days off, which means you're going to be doing a lot of double headers. A lot of double headers that might be in a week where you could use those extra at-bats against a player or against another team, for example. A little tactical fantasy baseball jewel there. If you absorbed it, then feel free to use that. That being said, you need reliable pitching because you have 5 days basically where you got to get your pitching as pristine as you can. Pitching wins championships as far as I'm concerned in baseball. Didn't work for me last year. It's worked for me before, but it didn't work for me last year. But this year I think I got the formula. 3 pitchers that you wish you had. All right. I have 3 pitchers on my team right now that I think are better than everyone else's. I have one who's tried and true. I have one who's just gotten into their prime, and I have one who is probably a couple weeks into their prime, perhaps in the cusp of it, where you're gonna see the full potential of this player this season. Who am I talking about? Well, I'm going to tell you, because these are the 3 pitchers that you wish you had in 2020. Number 1, we're going to go with tried and true. A lot of people don't, I don't know if you don't know who Garrett Cole is of the New York Yankees. He is their ace. He's gotten there by way of Pittsburgh through to Houston. He is now a Yankee. This guy so far, we're only in beginning of August. He has 12 innings pitched so far in a short season. He has 2 wins with those 12 innings pitched. He also has 12 strikeouts in those 12 innings. His ERA is 2.5, and he only has 3 walks. This is a guy that I think can possibly go undefeated this season. He is a strikeout guy. Even though he's only averaging a strikeout per inning, I see him very easily upping that to about a strikeout and a half per inning, maybe even catching up and getting back to 2 strikeouts per inning, where she was at for a good amount of the season last year. Garrett Cole is my number 1 guy. My number 2 guy, Cleveland Indian. They have 2 guys that you think might be competing. If you look at the numbers, you'll see it's not competition. I'm talking about Shane Bieber, the new Bieb, since Justin Bieber has retired his moniker to be a married man. This is Shane Bieber from the Cleveland Indians. This guy, 14 innings pitched, and this guy in 14 innings has had 27 strikeouts. No one has scored a run on this guy yet. I know it's early in the season. I know we only have 14 innings, but 14 innings of no run ball. No one scored against him. He's at 2 wins already. He, as I said, 27 strikeouts in 14 innings is almost 2 strikeouts an inning. This guy's lights out. He's only had one walk, and he has not had a run scored against him yet. Obviously, I don't think he's going to maintain that, but I do think he's going to maintain some really, really strong pitching, a lot of strikeouts. And I think even if he does give up a run or two once in a while, his ERA is still going to be sub 3 all season, which works out for me. All right. Number 3, I have St. Louis Cardinals, Jack Flaherty. This guy is slowly becoming one of my favorite guys. I know I'm in a keeper league with these 3 pitchers. I'm going to have to let one of these guys go, but my intention is to take whoever I drop as my first round pick. Shh. All right. Jack Flaherty, he started out, so far he's had 3 postponed games due to COVID. So he doesn't have COVID, but 3 of his team's games have been postponed, which means he's going to be playing in a lot of doubleheaders, which means I'm probably going to get a lot of good use out of him. He might even end up being in a situation where he's going to be playing a lot of doubleheaders. He might be playing every 3 games at some point, which is going to be a lot of fun later on in the season when a lot of these wins get a little bit more important. He's only pitched 7 innings and because of that, but he has 6 strikeouts, and I expect him to have a lot more strikeouts than he has innings. I trust his stuff. He's playing for the Cards. The Cards are going to be pitching a lot of close games. I think that's going to give him a couple extra innings in those times when you want to get your innings up for your fantasy league. All right, so that's what I have. That's what I have for fantasy baseball. I don't want to talk about that much more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end that conversation there. We're going to talk about something else for fantasy baseball at a different point. Let's go back to my topic, which was how do you feel about sports being played during COVID? I'm going to look in the chat. I see Bright Phantom. Bright Phantom says, I don't think they should have sports during COVID, but I appreciate their efforts to keep everyone entertained. I understand why you feel that way. As I said though earlier, I think some leagues are handling it very well. I think UFC is handling the COVID very well. I like that they're getting people tested, and I like that they are finding positive tests, which means that they're not doing some janky test just to show that they're doing a test. They're making a real effort of keeping these numbers down, where I don't want to say this, but I'm Canadian, so I can. Their president kind of failed on it. So I'm glad that they have sports players or sports teams that are taking this serious enough that they're testing their players before they get into crowded rooms with people, instead of having some Miami party zones where people are running around giving each other COVID like STDs. So that's how I feel. I appreciate your comment. I do see where you're going with this. It's rough to watch. I understand that, yes, people do want to be entertained, and I think athletes do believe that it's their obligation to entertain us, especially through trying times like a pandemic. And I appreciate their effort. I think that I like that they're getting tested, and I like that players are being found with it and are being treated for it, so that the death rate is not something that's happening to the NBA or to even to NHL and MLB, the Major League Baseball. I'm Coach WONDERGEDDON. Feel free to add me up. Thanks for watching the show, guys, and we're going to get back to you next week at the same time. We're going to aim for about 9 o'clock p.m. and go till about 10 or 11 o'clock. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Coach WONDERGEDDON. I'm out.